Hi guys, James at RampantLionReviews again for you today with another beer review. For this one we are back in Japan, as I mentioned in the little channel message video that I published yesterday, and as I always quite like to do when we come to Osaka, I'm going to review an Osaka beer for you. So for this one we are going to head to Minoh up in the northern part of Osaka City, and we're having a taste of yet another beer from Minoh Beer. This one is the Boss Zaru IPA, which is a black IPA, Cascadian Dark, coming in at 6% ABV. Now maybe about 3 years ago, maybe a little bit longer than that, I reviewed the Osaru IPA, which I guess you could say is the ordinary version of this particular beer, or the white version, I'm not sure, but basically that is the original IPA. This particular version, the Boss Zaru IPA, is a black version of that original Osaru IPA. So definitely looking forward to trying this one. I've been enjoying a lot of black IPAs recently. I was complaining for a while that I hadn't had any, but I've come across quite a few in the last while, and cool to come and try another one from Japan, of course. So really looking forward to this, and as always I hope you guys enjoy my take on this beer, and I hope that you enjoy the little Japanese mini-series that you're going to see over the next kind of 2 weeks or so. So yeah, as is usual with my reviews then, I'll tell you a little bit about the brewery before we taste the beer. If you want to get straight to the tasting, just fast forward. All the usual links are in the description below. That's the brewery website, the link to my other reviews that I've done from Minoh Beer before. I think there's about 7 or 8 down there now. There's all the usual social media down there too. If you want to see more beer reviews, do please consider subscribing to the channel. The whole channel, of course, has a geography-based tagging system, so you can go into the home page and search for beer based on country, city, state, county, prefecture, whatever it is you're interested in. Do check out the playlist of beers from different countries. There is one there for all the Japanese beers that I've reviewed for you. That's constantly being added to, or being added to whenever I get the opportunity, I should say. And as always, please do get in touch and let me know some of the other beers and breweries that you guys would like to see me review. It's always great to hear from you guys that are watching the videos, and the support that you show the channel is hugely appreciated. So anyway, to tell you a little bit about Minoh Beer then, on to my brewery notes down here. So as I've told you before, Minoh is I guess you could say it's a city within Osaka Prefecture, but it's just to the north of the main city of Osaka itself. It's about 15 kilometers away. But this area of Osaka is really famous for the Meiji no Mori Minoh quasi-national park, and this is one of the oldest national parks in Japan, and also for the Katsuoji Buddhist temple, which is over 1200 years old. Definitely worth going and visiting if you find yourself here in Osaka. But the monkey symbol that you'll find on these beers is a reference to the monkey population in the national park. There's some hot springs and stuff up there, and in the winter and things they go and kind of chill in the hot springs too, which is kind of quite funny actually. They do the same up in Hokkaido and Tohoku and things like that as well. But the brewery itself, the Minoh Brewery, was established back in 1996 along with many others in Japan, but it's owned by the Oshita family, who'd run an alcohol shop for about 30 years before they opened the brewery. Apparently the family went for dinner one night, and on the way home Papa Oshita pointed to a building and said that they were going to be brewing beer in there, and it turned out that he'd bought a brew kit from New Zealand and rented out the building and was going to go for it. So the brewery is now run by the family's 3 daughters, Kaori and Mayuko. They founded the brewery, and their younger sister has since joined them as well. So Kaori is the eldest sister, and she's the head brewer. She trained initially at a brewery in Kobe before going to the National Research Institute of Brewing, the RNIB, in East Hiroshima. And Kaori says that she actually learned a lot on the job, and also cites Nakanishi of Ise Kadoya up in Ise in Mie Prefecture, another very good Japanese brewery. She really regards him as a very good mentor to her, and she's constantly kind of learning on the job, tweaking new recipes and stuff like this. But apparently when they first started, the brewery had a bit of an uphill struggle, because there wasn't, many of the Jibiru breweries that started out were going bust by the late 1990s. They were only lasting about kind of 3-4 years and things like that, and public opinion of G beer, or local beer, wasn't very great actually. But Minoh have gone on to become one of the most decorated breweries in Japan these days, and they also run the Beer Belly pubs here in Osaka as well, which are definitely worth checking out. They also have the Minoh Beer warehouse, which I've been to before. I might go there again for my birthday, and if I am going there I'll film a little out and about video for you, because it's really quite nice. And they've always got different beers up there that you can't actually get in the bottle either. They only bottle a small kind of portion of the things that they do. I think they have a small pilot kit that they brew new recipes on, and if the beer is liked in the pub, then they they put it out into bottle and things like that. I think that's how a number of the Minoh beers that aren't in the core range kind of come to be. So they've got quite a few seasonals. The seasonal ones tend to have the artwork like this, but the core range beers are the ones that have the different coloured roundels on them actually. But a very, very good brewery, very highly regarded here in Japan, and it's actually a little bit difficult to find the beers outside of the kind of Kansai region, if you like. I'm not sure how easy they are to find up in Tokyo, but I've not really seen them up there, to be honest with you. But a brewery that's definitely worth checking out. Cool to see a female brewer in Japan, of course, as well, and definitely check these guys out if you get the chance. Probably my favourite beers that I've had from them so far. The Zaru IPA was really nice. The WIBA that they did a collaboration with Shiga Kogen Tamamura Honten, that was a really, really good beer. Also the Imperial Stout and the WIPA from the core range is definitely worth checking out as well. But yeah, that's all you really need to know about Minoh Beer at the moment. As of December 2019, when I'm filming this review for you, according to Untappd, they've produced in the region of 175 different beers, so there's lots of different things that you can try from these guys. This must be review number 8 or 9 that I've done from them now, but like I say, probably the best known Osaka craft brewery at the moment. So yeah, let's get on and actually have a taste of this beer then. If you want to learn more about Minoh Beer, check out the brewery website in the description below. You can follow them on Facebook and Instagram and stuff like that, and you can keep up to date with all the latest goings on there. And of course you can check out the Rate Beer and Untappd pages for all the different beers that they've done. As you can see, when I come to Japan, I tend to use my Minoh tulip glass that I have as well. You can see the little monkey guy on there, which is pretty cool. But yeah, I'll let you have a little look at the artwork for the beer as well before we open it up. As I mentioned to you, this one, the Boss Zaru IPA, it's basically a black IPA version of the original Osaru. It uses Citra hop from what I understand. But yeah, a really, really nice label on this one. Some of the different beers in the kind of seasonal range have a different kind of coloured background and stuff, but it's a similar label. Usually the monkey's got a different coloured earring or different coloured beer and things like that too. And you can also see the monkey is on the top of the bottle cap as well. So yeah, 6% black IPA. This one, it was released, it must have been about a month back, but and again, this is another one that I've picked up from Koji at liquor shop Asahiya in Taishibashi Maichi here in Osaka. I'll put his Facebook page in the video description below. So as you can see when we open this one up, a nice bit of smoke on the opening, and we'll get it out and into the glass. And there we go. So yeah, as you can see with this one, and as you would expect from a black IPA, it's poured a lovely sort of dark, if I hold the light up to that, it's poured a lovely dark sort of ebony colour, this one. This beer is really quite dark. It's one of the darker black IPAs that I've come across, but you can see if there's a little bit of light coming through it. It's got a little bit of a kind of Coca-Cola coloured edge to it too. There's one or two big bubbles sticking towards the side of the glass, a few little ones heading up towards the bottom of that head there, and incidentally I would say that the head is probably about a half finger, kind of medium beige kind of colour. Looks very, very nice, and if you sugar the beer up a little bit, you can see more and more of the little kind of bubbles heading up towards the bottom of that head there. But you know, it looks pretty much as you would expect from a black IPA. As I say, a little bit darker than some of the other ones that I've come across. This style is becoming very popular back in Sweden, of course, at the moment. There's more and more breweries having a go at these. So to try a Japanese one, I think I've only had one or two from Japan before. The WIPA from Shiga Kogen Beer. I don't think any other ones beyond that. There are quite a few really nice ones here. So yeah, looks exactly as you'd expect. Let's take a closer look at the aroma then and see how we get on. Ooh, that one, that's kind of interesting. This one, it really comes across, you can really pick out the black malts in this beer straight away. It's got a nice kind of roasty toasty backbone. But at the same time, there's a good little bit of a brown bready quality in there. There's some of that nice kind of toasty, almost well-fired bread crust coming out of this beer, which is really nice. Yeah, it's got a nice kind of bready base to it, but also some roasty black notes. There's maybe a little bit of a kind of carafa, German carafa malt type quality to this one. I'm not sure if they will be using German malts in this beer, but it certainly smells that there might be a little bit of carafa in this one. I really wouldn't be surprised. Weiermann Carafa, really nice malt type from Bamberg in Germany, where my friend Daniel lives. Love it. Yeah, maybe a little bit of a sweet kind of biscuity note to this beer as well. Not any kind of sweet caramel or anything like that, just a little bit of a kind of biscuity, grainy sort of thing. Some really kind of toasty bread crust, I would say, as well, and yeah, that nice kind of roasty, carafa type black malt type thing in the malt base as well. The malt base is quite straight up, not overly complex, maybe one or two kind of woody undertones, but other than that, very, very kind of straight up. And that's one of the things I would say about the Minoh beers. They're these sort of beers that don't do anything kind of surprising with the style. You will get some unusual beers from them, like the Shodoshima Salty Ale that I reviewed about a year ago, but you'll also get the beers that they do that are in regular styles. They always tend to be really well crafted, if that makes sense. They don't do anything surprising, those beers, but they are always well crafted, and I've got a feeling this is going to be another one like that. So yeah. So yeah, in terms of the hoppy side of this beer then, definitely a nice little bit of earthiness coming out of it. On the green side of things, I would say there's a bit of floral quality in there, and it has a little touch of a kind of grassy note as well, which is nice. But I would say that mainly this beer is it's quite kind of, it's more roasty and toasty. The earthiness that's in there matches well with the roasty toasty carafa malts that are in there. On the fruity side of things, it's quite difficult to detect what's going on with the fruit. There's a little bit of a kind of figgy note to it. There's not really any raisiny sharpness or anything. There's a little bit of a kind of candied strawberry, maybe blackberry type note to this one as well. It said on the website that it was Citra that was in this beer. I don't think I've had too many beers that have used Citra. Usually it's Simcoe that turns out to be a very nice hop in black IPAs. So this is kind of an interesting experience as well. I like that about this, to be honest with you. This is the aroma of this is quite interesting. You can pick up a teeny little bit of the mango that you would normally get from Citra, but mainly it's quite sort of figgy and a little bit blackberry-ish and blackcurranty. It's quite a mild fruity note to this one, to be honest with you. It kind of mixes in with the sort of grassy notes, maybe a little bit of gooseberry. You can always get that as one of the complexities of Citra. So yeah, quite a sort of bready, roasty, toasty kind of black IPA, this one. And it's a nice kind of floral notes and just a little bit of a juicy fruity character as well, actually. So yeah, take a bit of time and enjoy that aroma before you try the beer, but we're going to taste this one now and see how we get on. This one is the Boss Zaru IPA from Minoh Beer, also known as AJI Beer Incorporated. That's the company name. The beer brand is Minoh Beer, from Minoh in the northern part of Osaka City, here in Osaka Prefecture, Japan. Let's get stuck into this one. My first Japanese review in Japan for about 6 months. Let's get stuck in. Slanja, Skål, Kampai. Yeah, that's a pretty damn solid beer, this. It's one of these ones, again, like I was saying, Minoh Beer, they don't really, with these kind of beers, they don't do anything sort of surprising, but it's just really well done. So thumbs up once again to Minoh Beer. I think they've done a nice job of this. This is, as I say, I've had the Osaru IPA like maybe 3 years ago, maybe even 4, I can't remember. And that was a really, really nice beer, but I like how this one goes together. Yeah, that's really, really nice. In terms of the kind of the way that this beer kind of comes out, it's one of the toastier black IPAs I think you're going to come across, but at the same time, it's one of the more kind of lighter and drinkable ones. The aftertaste that this beer comes in, it's got a bit of a toasty bite to it, but then it smooths out really nicely, and the way that the toastiness comes out in the aftertaste with this one is really well done, actually. So again, thumbs up to Minoh Beer for how this beer's turned out. I really like this. Yeah, right, let's try and break the flavour of this one down then. So straight away you'll get a little bit of that kind of roasty carafa malt to this beer, and that's kind of forming the backbone, actually. The further you go into the aftertaste, it does dry out a little bit, but at the same time you get a little bit of a kind of brown bready sweetness pushing its way out with this one. If you go to the very centre of your palate, there is a little touch of a kind of sweet caramel to this one. It is more of a kind of caramel than a biscuit, but then as you move further out from the middle of your palate, if you go to the very centre of your palate, it's caramel, but then as you move further out from there, it gets a little bit more biscuity. Underneath that, you've got the kind of brown bready notes, and then forming the very base of the beer, it's that really kind of well-fired, toasty, bread crusty thing that's in there. If you go to the front corners of your palate and move in a little bit, you'll pick up some kind of woody undertones in my mind as well. So, I mean, there is the malt base is a little bit more complex than it comes across as being in the aroma. But it's nicely done, and I think the aftertaste in this beer, the way the malt base kind of forms in the aftertaste for this one is really nice. It's the biscuity notes and some of the kind of sweeter aspects of the bread that really linger there into the aftertaste. But yeah, that's nice actually. This is a solid black IPA, but at the same time it's quite light and drinkable actually. I don't think, just going by the flavours that are in this, I'm not sure if there is a little bit of Cascade in here or something. I don't think there is. I think this is more kind of, I think this one might well just be Citra that's in here. Maybe, I think it could only be Citra actually, and it's not the most bitter of black IPAs that you're going to come across, although I think it's above 50 IBUs, which is fairly standard for the style, to be honest. But yeah, in terms of the hoppy side of things, then we've covered the malt base quite well so far. So back corners of the palate, there is a little bit of earthiness in there. As you move further forward along the side of the tongue, that smoothens out a little bit. You get a little touch of floral aromaticity on the front corners of the palate, then around the very front curve of the tongue it's a little bit lighter and more, there's a little bit more of a kind of grassy quality there as well. And the grassiness, I think, the floral and grassy qualities are actually quite bright in this one, which is nice. I like that little touch. But then, as I always say, behind the front curve of the palate, you've got that little oily bubble where those juicy, fruity esters start to push their way out of the beer. And for me, this one it is quite interesting. I was saying earlier on that I didn't think there's Cascade in this one, and I actually think I might have to revise that. I've got a feeling that there could be a little bit of Cascade in here, either that or it'll be Chinook, because there is a little bit of a kind of grapefruity note to this beer, but it's a sort of almost ripened grapefruit that you get, as I said, when you add Simcoe into a black IPA as opposed to a normal IPA, you get a lot of red fruity notes out of it, whereas in a regular IPA it's passion fruit. And you know, Chinook kind of does the same. The fruity notes you get out of it get a little bit more juicy and red, if that makes sense. So I've got a feeling there could be a bit of Cascade in the base here, or some Chinook or something like that. But the Citra is behaving quite interestingly as well, but we'll talk about that in a minute. So yeah, for this one then, it's got quite a nice, if you go to the fruity side of the beer, if you go to the back of the palate, there's a little bit of that grapefruity note. As you move kind of further forward on the palate there, it's sort of juicy, it becomes a little bit more juicy. You can pick up a little bit of a kind of, there is a little touch of a mangoey note there, and then as you move to the front part of the palate, it gets a little bit more kind of figgy, I would say. There is definitely a sort of figgy element to this one. Then as you reach the very tip of the tongue, there's a little bit of the gooseberry notes coming out from the Citra as well. And as I've said before, Citra can give you a little bit of that darker grapefruity and passion fruity note, so maybe that's what's responsible for the kind of juicier notes in this beer. As I say, the grapefruit's there, but then as you come further forward, it sort of evolves more into a kind of red fruity note. A bit of the mango's there, but it's kind of, it's hard to describe actually. It's just a kind of light, smooth juiciness you get out of this beer. It's not the fruitiest black IPA that you're going to come across, but it's just got a nice kind of subtle fruity quality to it that's quite nice, and again that lingers into the aftertaste. So to kind of summarise that, because that was a bit of a ramble, back of the fruity part, bit of grapefruit, very quickly ripens to a kind of more juicy red fruit, little touch of mangoes in there, a kind of figgy figgy kind of note before that, and then almost on the very tip of the tongue a little bit gooseberry or something like that. And the further that you go into the aftertaste, you get a little bit more of a kind of black, there's a little touch of a kind of blackberry, blackcurranty flavour in there as well. But I mean, overall, as I said, this is a beer, this as a black IPA, this is one that doesn't do anything sort of overly surprising, but it's just really nicely crafted. The things that stick out for me with this one is the kind of way the breadiness comes out in the aftertaste, and also the kind of unusual fruity character to it as well. So I mean, a very fitting beer for Minoh brewery, if you like, but it's a very kind of straight up, well crafted beer. I think this one, it's one of the more drinkable black IPAs that I've come across. Actually, I think it's really fair to say that about this one. So yeah, solid effort, I have to say. Again, thumbs up to Minoh Beer for this one. In terms of the mouthfeel, I would say that yeah, it's a mid-bodied beer. Carbonation is pretty smooth. The mouthfeel overall, it's a little bit wet. I mean, in Minoh you get very good water quality because you're right next to the mountain, basically. Good, you know, and as I always say, where there's good water, there's good sake as well. But you, it has a very kind of clean feel to it, this one. Like I say, one of the more drinkable black IPAs that you're going to come across. It's very smooth at the same time as well. So, on the hoppy side of things, I think we're talking about maybe 60 IBUs with this one. It's not the most bitter black IPA you're going to come across. There's a bit of bitterness both from the malt base and from the hoppy side of things. I reckon about 60 IBUs with this one. Malt base, as I said, a little bit roasty and toasty and dry, some sweetness coming out of there as well. But at the same time, it is really quite nice and smooth. I think I've got a very strong feeling there's Carafa malt in here. Weyermann Bamberg Carafa malt in this one. So malt base is quite smooth. There's a little touch of sweetness to it as well, and it smoothens out the further you go into the aftertaste as well. Nice little bit of a juicy fruity quality. It has a little touch of tropical note, but then it starts to lean more towards a juicy kind of red fruity thing as well, and a little bit of gooseberry, which is quite an interesting touch to a black IPA as well. But overall, a really solid black IPA from Minoh. I wouldn't expect anything less than a solid beer from these guys based on past experiences, and really cool to return to these guys after quite a little while. So yeah, let's leave it at that for this. I hope you've enjoyed my take on this one, the Boss Zaru IPA, basically a black IPA version of the Osaru IPA. I think the Osaru IPA is normally released around sort of March, April time, but the Boss Zaru IPA they really release around sort of November. I think they've got different seasonal beers that appear every so often, and this is one of those. But a lovely take on the black IPA, this one. Cool to see this style gaining a little bit more kind of prominence in Japan, and I hope that you guys have enjoyed my take on this one too. Definitely a cool beer to kick off this Japanese mini-series for you with. So yeah, let's leave it at that. Once again, thank you for watching my beer reviews. Until the next time, please like, subscribe, share, all the usual YouTube stuff. Let me know your own thoughts on this beer in the comments section below. Let me know what your favourite beers are from Minoh Beer as well. Cool to return to these guys after a little while. Like I said, I always enjoy kicking off my Japanese reviews with a Minoh Beer because it's the local brewery here in Osaka. But I'll catch you guys with more Japanese beer reviews. You can enjoy these over the next 2 weeks. So let's leave it at that. Thank you again for watching, and I will catch you guys very soon. The Boss Zaru, a black IPA coming in at 6% ABV from AGI Beer Incorporated, Minoh Beer in Minoh, Osaka here in Japan. I hope you enjoy the Japanese mini-series, and I'll catch you soon. Slanja, Skål, Kampai, make sure you check out this beer. Cheers.